A Rocky Mount man who will be sentenced next week for hanging a noose in his front yard is back in jail. This time he's accused of putting up a sign that used derogatory words to intimidate others. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office tells us the message on 52-year-old Jack Turner's property referred to African Americans, stating their lives don't matter, and included racial slurs. The sign also said, quote, "got rope." Neighbors say they were afraid for their safety and called the sheriff's office. Back in September, Turner was convicted of violating state law by hanging a noose in his yard. He was allowed to remain free on bond with the condition of good behavior. Now, this second crime could affect Turner's sentencing for the first incident. However, the sheriff's office says this was an act of intimidation.
We definitely don't want our county to be known, or anybody's, locality to be known for something like that. So
Turner's attorney argues Turner is protected by freedom of speech. His court date is set for December the 8th. New tonight at 11, our very own Duke Carter spoke with an expert on the First Amendment. He joins us now in the studio. So, Duke, simple question here. What's freedom of speech and what's illegal?
Well, that's what experts say is a gray area, Lindsay. They say there's a fine line between freedom of speech and when there's a danger to public safety.
Talking about freedom of speech.
Dr. Todd Burke, professor of criminal justice at Radford University, shared his expertise on where the line is drawn between freedom of speech and when what is said is considered dangerous to the public.
It's a little bit difficult to decide when your freedom of speech is really happening or when it becomes intimidation and threatening.
Burke says the reason why there is a fine line is because the Supreme Court has ruled in some cases where freedom of speech has and hasn't been violated.
You can have even things that are controversial, such as flag burning, which is considered free speech, which is also offensive, but is it really intimidating? Is it a public safety issue? Supreme Court ruled no. But if you have a situation where someone says, well, I have the right to scream fire in a crowded theater, they do not. That is a public safety issue.
And this court has determined that it is not free speech. And we plan to appeal that decision.
We spoke to Jack Turner's attorney, Holland Purdue. He's representing Turner, who was free on bond after hanging a noose in his yard. He recently had a sign referring to African Americans and that their lives don't matter. Purdue feels the First Amendment right protects Turner.
I think that the First Amendment gives you a very broad spectrum of what you can do and say, especially on your own property.
But Burke says people think they are protected by the First Amendment when it comes to their personal property. Burke says that's not necessarily true. It depends if people are in fear of their lives.
If this is an only route that people take, or is a big sign, or it's a cross burning, or something to show intimidation, that's where the line is drawn.
Burke says, bottom line, if you feel a sign is offensive, just take it down.